Since we already have installed a SQL server and our database instance, SQL instance on the Commvault on the client here, under the computer in SQL Server, and then the actual agent itself or subclient name. So there's a couple different ways. If you work for like an MSP and you have multiple services, multiple server accounts or admin accounts essentially for SQL, like service accounts, how you would add those is you click properties and then you click SQL agent authentication and then override and impersonate user, and then put the username, usually credential, or you can just add one and then put the credentials you want. It'd be a SQL, it wouldn't be a Windows. So we're not doing that right now, but normally that's what you'd have. The other consideration, if you work for MSP and you have operational window and you're running backups. So what you would do is you want your SQLs to work, your SQL backups to work every hour. So in this case, you would go to the SQL itself, the agent, and go to properties. Actually, no, you go SQL and then you go all tasks, blackout window, and then you would click on ignore whatever the rules are. Essentially what's going on is when you do that, you can't click that, you can't see that. So we'll scroll up a little bit. Yeah, click on blackout window, and then right here, ignore blackout window rules. That will override whatever you have listed. Let's say, for instance, this client here is part of whatever client group, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's client group under client computers. Let's say it's East Coast, West Coast, whatever. They're part of that. So they're part of the don't back up after a certain time. I'll tell you what it looks like. So if right click and I go all tasks and blackout window, I'm going to add, let's say, I'm going to tell the backups not to run, full data, aux, whatever, from these times. And then you give it a specific time not to run backups. Now, when I go to SQL and I click on blackout window, I'm going to ignore that. That's how I get my SQL transactional logs to work and how they run every hour. That's really nothing more than that. So to get started in SQL, how to install it, or how to back it up, I should say, we're going to go to the client itself. So this is the client here. This is where the SQL database is. It's this one right here, SQL database for Commvault. So we get started. First thing I got to do is I'm going to go to the local computer, and I'm going to click on local users and groups. Go to groups, administrators. I'm going to ensure that the SQL admins, and why is that important? So we'll go back to my domain controller. SQL admins as my service account, which is CV SQL admin in it. And that's what I'm going to use if I were to back up like an MSP. I'm not, but if you were, that's how you would set that up. So I'm going to make sure it's there, like if I'm an MSP, multiple SQL accounts, etc. And then the other thing I'm going to make sure is in the SQL database itself, I'm going to go to, well, let me tell you about this. This is kind of a little gotcha, I guess you will. You have to make sure that you click on their NT authority system. You have to make sure that under properties, click properties. You have to ensure, because by default, it's not checked. And it will affect your backups from working. There it is right there. So by default, this won't be checked. The sysadmin for the NT authority system, that won't be checked. You have to check that. So just keep that in mind when you go and do these things. Now, for the database itself, I'm backing up this one here, the SQL database for Commvault. I can click under security, and I'm going to click on actually I'm going to go security. I'm going to server roles. Yeah. I'm going to find sysadmin. That's what I want. I'm going to click that. I'm going to make sure that my user account. Now, again, this is just for the MSPs. It may or may not work when you set it up to just back up. But for MSPs, this is what we use. So I'm going to make sure that that is there, which is a role of sysadmin. Yes, good. CV SQL admin. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And then I go to my database itself, and I'm going to expand it. Go to security and ensure that under users, oh, it's there. Happy Dubai CV SQL admin. Okay, everything looks fine there. All right. So I'm going to go back to my ComServe, and I'm going to back it up. Before I do that, I'm going to click on the database, double click again, go to properties, just make sure that it is there. The database that I want to back up is present. Content, click on content and my configure. Very slow. Okay. So I see the 3 other databases. I don't care about those, but I do care about this. So I clicked on it. Yes. Happy. And in my storage policy, that's accurate. Good. Click OK. All right. So now I just run a backup. Right click, run a backup of the database itself. Click on full, or just it'll do its stuff. If you had errors that were user-based errors, like account doesn't work or whatever, you would see that here. It would say account's not a sysadmin on SQL or whatever. That's what you would usually see. Yeah. Okay. Good. There's a couple videos ago I did where I talked about the process, what backups do, how they work, what process do they go through. Oh, completed. All right. Just that quick. So full. Subclient, yep, started, interactive, progress. Here we go, completed. Okay, so size, blah, blah. Click here, completed 100%. Right click, view logs. We can do just that fast. And we're doing a restore as well. So we're going to delete the database or rename it and completely just create a new one essentially. So we've got a full database. We're good to go. So go back here to our database and I'm going to rename it like _old. Sure, why not? Rename it. Fine. Now, what you normally do if you work for MSP, let's say a customer said, hey, I want you to restore a database. Now they're going to say, you're going to ask the customer, you're going to call the customer most likely, and you're going to say, what do you want to restore? Where from? Do you want to do transactional log restores? Do you want to do full database? Do you want to do a .bak file, an out of place restore? You want to know these things because you effectively could be overriding the current database. And if it's a bank and you override the database, you could have an issue. So context is important when you talk to a customer out there with who they just says, hey, I want you to restore a database, and don't provide you any context. That's when you, as the technician, would not just believe whatever you see on the ticket. It's like, oh, okay, they just want me to restore it. No, don't believe that. You want to get context. Why do you want to restore it? What's the purpose? Where are we restoring to? We're doing the full, incremental, or overriding? Do you want us to do a .bak file, put it out of place? Those type of questions you have to ask if you're a work for MSP, because it's important. They could make a mistake, but you don't need to make mistakes as a MSP, because then they could lose your trust. Then you don't have the contract anymore, and then people don't have jobs because of that one incident. That happens. It's a common thing. So we're going to find out. We're going to go to our jobs here. So we're going to, customer said, yeah, just restore .bak file, and I'm going to import it in, essentially is what they're saying, because they're probably a DBA. So I'm going to do backup history and fine. They want the latest full backup, but they want a .bak file. They don't want to overwrite. So I'm going to do latest full. I'm going to browse and restore. And I see it's completed. I see it's fine. Go to the database itself here. Fine. Okay, so I'm going to do an out of place. I'm not going to do original because I'll be overriding it. I'm going to do restore out of place. You have these different options you can have here. How you'd want to do it. Advanced restore database to a disk. Yeah, so I'm going to do restore out of place. Okay, I'm going to click and check what it looks like. Recover all selected, because that's the database name. Okay. So here you have, it's going to be the LDF, MDF, I think. These are two different files if you wanted to restore it. Let's see, LDF, MDF. Yeah, here we go, LDF, MDF. So this is a common thing you do as well. We're not going to do this one, but customer wants it restored, and you would put it here. You don't want it, you didn't do the same location. Well, we could do it, and then we can just we could do it this way, like this. So new or restored. We'll go restore. Usually what you would do is you put the ticket number is ideally what you would do with that, and then so you'd know what to do, what we're restoring. Restore. Okay. Restore. All right. And destination client, same client. Yep. And something else. Oh, the name. I'm gonna change this one here. Restore. One here. Oh yeah, fine. It's gonna be file name. It's a different path altogether. So this should work. Okay, push OK. And go back to your job controller. Take a look at the restore, what it's doing. Yeah. Yeah, some customers want MDF, LDF. Some customers .bak file. Some customers can do in-place restore. This depends on who the customer is, what they're looking to do. You know, the ones that want you to override their database, you want to make sure that that is an email and that's documented 100%, and call them, put in the ticket, make sure that's 100% accurate, because you don't want to be that person that makes a an issue out of it, you know, where you did it wrong. So the restore completed, and what we did was we put it in. It's not going to be here. You're not going to see it here. You're going to see it in the computer. That's going to be C drive. I think it was E drive. Yeah, E drive is where the databases live. And program files, Microsoft SQL, I believe. Yeah, SQL. I think it was. Let's see. See where it put it. Maybe put it at. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'll just do this. I can look at the actual path on the job itself. Look at that. All right, so put E drive, program files, MySQL 17. MySQL 17, then data, fine. Then right here it is, right there. So it put it right here and right here. The log restore and the restore, the MDF, which is the LDF, which is the log, and the MDF, which is the regular one, data file. Yeah. So that's successfully completed. Now we'll do one that is like a BAK file, essentially. So we'll do that one. We'll do the same one. Restore, browse and restore. And then we'll do restore to disk. Restore to disk. Okay, so the path is going to be a little different here. We're going to put it in the E drive. We'll put it in, let's put it in a temp folder, temp. Now, if you want to do, if you're doing like a restore, and this is a customer's environment, you change this like restore and then the ticket number. But since we're not doing that, we'll just leave it like it is. So now we're restoring to this path. We're not restoring anywhere else. So click OK, and it's going to restore that. Fantastic. Okay. Paths. Okay, good. Gonna be there. Go to our computer. E drive, temp file. And we have our BAK files right here. That's what we're looking at right there. That BAK file. That's what they want, the BAK file. Now let's do a override, essentially. You don't want to do this in real-time customer environment. You don't want to do it. I'm just showing you how it's done, but don't do this. You know, if customer asks you to do it, make sure it's in writing. You got an email from them, and you say, per our conversation, you make sure you call them, per our conversation, I'm going to overwrite the current database. And, you know, if it's a different type of, if it's a different location, like browse and if it's like in the secondary storage or primary, that's where you would click here, like browse from copy precedence. Anyway, so SQL, we're going to restore in place. Now, again, if you talk to the customer, ensure that the customer is accurate. They want to do this. And you got an email and you've called them and you don't do this on a Friday, if possible, and your leadership knows about it, and you talk to 3 or 4 people on your team prior to doing it. Yeah. So we're doing, essentially we're overriding now right now. So we'll click OK. And it's going to overwrite the database. Don't do this. Don't do this in production. Don't do it. For a lab, it's fine, but production, I wouldn't recommend doing it. I wouldn't even recommend suggesting it to a customer. Oh, it failed. Okay. Oh, because it's already present. Okay. Makes sense. Oh, okay. Whatever. Fine. All right. Okay. It's fine. What's the error say? Oh, cannot be removed. It's being used. Oh, I see. Kind of restored. Oh, okay. Simple fix. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Delete. So I'm deleting the current database right now. Okay. Right click. Can't see it. Let me move it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Right click and then delete. That's deleting the database. It's an active database. Close existing connections. Ever see that down there? Yeah. Click OK. It's in progress. Success. All right. There's no more database. Well, that particular database is not present. Not there anymore. Yeah, it's not there. Okay. So we'll just resume our restore. See if it wants to put it there. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So we'll come back here, do a refresh, and we see our database. Look at that. Fantastic. Don't recommend doing this again because you'll be looking for another job soon afterwards. So those are the ways to do it. To restore SQL. Again, I don't recommend doing it to full. because you don't know what'll happen with their environment. If it's a bank, then could have a lot of customers' data go down. You don't know. So this is the advanced way here. So I did advanced, and this one is quite a little different. Show you again. Browse and restore. Advanced restore. View contents. Click it. It just has type of the databases, the destination. Of course, you can change it if you had another. You could do an out of place restore to another database. It's fine, as long as SQL is installed, like Commvault agent is installed. Same principle here. You have the database name, the file name, and physical path location. Same thing, but a more robust, basically. But same principles for this. So this is basically how you back up and restore a SQL for a customer. Not a SQL cluster, because clusters are different. SQL clusters are quite different, but just SQL, normal SQL, yeah. Now for an MSP, like I was saying, for an MSP, what you would do is you would just come here, properties, and you would click on SQL authentication, and then you would just put a user in there. That way, like if you're multi-tenant and multiple companies, and the company you support for this particular one, you want to use a SQL agent that the customer uses, whatever customer it is. You had multiple customers. This particular customer who owns this SQL server instance, you're going to put their credentials in. That way, it's going to back up using those credentials. And it's just the way anyway. And of course, they're going to have their own domain, so there's not going to be a conflict because they're going to be a different domain name, everything. But it just makes it easier when you set it up. You don't have to think about it. And that's how you do backup and restore. Thanks, Hot. We will see you in the next one.